Hello, I'm David Harper with the BBC News. Haiti's interim Prime Minister, Claude Joseph, has declared a state of emergency which grants the executive greater powers just hours after the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. Mr. Joseph announced that he had taken charge of the country after unidentified gunmen shot President Moïse dead at his home in Port-au-Prince. His wife Martine was wounded. Peter Bowes reports.
Gunshots could be heard throughout Port-au-Prince following the attack, but Mr. Joseph said the police and the army had the security situation under control and that a state of emergency had been declared. He later urged the international community to launch an investigation into the assassination. Jovenel Moïse entered office in 2017. During the past year, he'd been ruling by decree after the country failed to hold parliamentary elections in 2019. The Caribbean nation is facing a humanitarian and security crisis with worsening poverty and political unrest.
The White House called the assassination horrific and offered help with any investigation. Haiti's international airport has been closed and the streets of Port-au-Prince are reported to be quiet. Pascal Solage lives in the capital.
We are on our cell phones, our radio, our television, waiting for what happens next. And I think everyone in Haiti, every Asian citizen now are very scared. We lived a complicated situation during years now, but this morning it's more complicated and everyone is scared.
Gunmen who abducted more than 100 students from a boarding school in northwestern Nigeria on Monday have now issued a demand for food to feed the children. Anguished parents said they were told a ransom demand would follow. Ishaq Khalid reports.
The owner of the Bethel Baptist High School, Reverend Ishaya Adamujangadu, said the school officials spoke briefly on Tuesday with the gunmen and some of the kidnapped students. He says the abductees could be heard crying and pleading to be rescued. He said 120 students were being held. Initial reports suggested more than 140 students had been abducted in the attack on Monday. The Nigerian authorities say security forces are trying to rescue the school children.
The United Nations says there has been an overwhelming increase in child abuse in parts of West and Central Africa. UNICEF said a third of all grave violations against children occurred in the region. It said about 500 had been abducted in Nigeria in the last 6 weeks. There were more than 3,400 reported violations against children in the Democratic Republic of Congo in the first 3 months of this year. UNICEF said it was concerned that violence against children will increase in coming weeks before rain restricts the movements of armed groups. World news from the BBC. New York City has held a parade to honour its first responders for their efforts on the front lines of the coronavirus pandemic. The city was at the centre of the initial outbreak of the virus in the United States, and more than 30,000 residents have died. Despite intense heat, thousands cheered as doctors, nurses, police and teachers walked up Broadway in Lower Manhattan. A loud explosion has occurred in the United Arab Emirates city of Dubai. Witnesses said it caused buildings to shake. The government's media office has confirmed that a fire broke out in a shipping container anchored at the port of Jebel Ali in the south. Unverified images and videos posted on social media show a huge fireball rising into the sky. Fire crews are working to put out the blaze. There are no reported injuries. Prosecutors in Portugal have detained 4 people in an investigation into suspected tax fraud and money laundering by individuals associated with the country's biggest football club, Benfica. Alison Roberts is in Lisbon.
Prosecutors said that they secured warrants to search dozens of premises before detaining a football executive, a football agent and 2 businessmen. They did not name them, but local media say that one was Luís Filipe Vieira, Benfica president since 2003. He and his business dealings have been caught up in several investigations over the years. Prosecutors' focus in this investigation is on deals and finance dating from 2014 that they say total more than $120 million. The 4 detainees are expected to be brought before a judge on Thursday for questioning and possible bail conditions.
The second semi-final of the Euro 2020 football tournament has gone to extra time after England and Denmark drew 1-1 at Wembley. There were plenty of chances in a hard-fought contest, but excellent goalkeeping by Denmark's Kasper Schmeichel kept the visitors in the tie. The winner will face Italy in Sunday's final back in North London. That's the latest BBC News.